In this video, I will show you step for step how to build a smooth roller coaster in Theme Park Tycoon 2. Now, this video is probably for every roller coaster you can build. Of course, inverted coasters, wooden coasters. Some coasters have like a little bit different like how you should build them. But for this video, I will just be going on the main big roller coaster of this game, which is the multi-lounge. So make sure to select that. Here it is. And I will really just go first over the basics so you actually understand what you're doing. The first useful tip is that you can press Q to build. You don't constantly have to press this build button down there. Alright, well, just make a station. I just make it 4 wide. We're not going to use the basic editor because that's the basic editor. So once you press on the advanced editor, if this is your first time doing this, it might look very overwhelming with how many settings there are. So I'm just going to go quickly over it. So you have spherical manip, move spline mode, and rotate spline mode. We'll be mostly building in the spherical manip, which is basically just the standard thing. Well, the blue one is to go left or right, red is to go up or down, and green is to go left or right. And then the white arrow is to make the pieces longer and shorter. Then underneath that we have auto smooth. Now this is a little interesting. I mainly just do yaw and pitch. I turn full off. I find it annoying when rotating pieces, the roll, as you can see, changes, or when you go up. It's really annoying how when you're trying to build something it rotates, and this should already be a lot more, so it's not really that good. So I use always yaw and pitch. Well, underneath that we saw roll, which basically if you roll this you can see that the number changes. You can also edit this number to change the roll however you want, and of course press the reset button next to it. Then you have snap length and snap rotate, which basically just make it snap on certain rotations and other things. Then you have move spline node, which is a lot more different things which you mostly won't really be using. To be fair, I don't really know even what all of these mean, but basically you just get like a different way of moving your pieces. This is just to, I would say mainly for inversions, this is very handy. And then rotate spline node is, well, what it says is just to rotate. Then if we go to the right of this menu, we have track feature. Now here we have all the chain lift, brake, boosters, block brakes, hold brakes, elevator, and station segment. I'm still not sure why station segment is in there, since you can, well, never use that, but oh well. We got snap to grid, which just makes sure it goes back to where you can use the basic editor. We got these two buttons, which is reset and another reset. Well, this is reset piece shape to the default shape. So that is, well, the basic shape. And we got reset piece shape to the straight shape. So that's this. So when you're rotating something, and let's say I press this, I press Q, and I press the default shape, it copies over the piece you used before it. If you use the other one, it does. So this one is, let's say, very nice if you want to create a very even turn and create nice circles, and this one is just for anything else basically. So you just have to play a little bit with those buttons. Then, well, of course we can press these arrow buttons to go left and right through all your pieces, and you can also build backwards. Before we go to pivot offset, you also have the star shape, which, well, in the last update we got all of the different track shapes, which, well, basically just is a different track shape. And the buttons underneath here you don't have to press, they are fine with how they are. Alright, pivot offset you can use, which I would say it's like a trade-off. So yes, it is a quicker way of getting things smooth, but at the same time you cannot make it as smooth as if you would take time. So in this video I will probably be using pivot offset 1 or 2, just so it's a little bit quicker of making this coaster, but you can decide how much you want. But basically what it does, let's just put it very high on 4. I would definitely not say that. When you rotate, it goes around the middle point with about, well, distance of 4. Now if I change that to 2, you can see that it's now a lot less. If I change that to 0, but now I need to actually reset the piece, since otherwise it doesn't look good. You can see that it doesn't, it actually like on the hard line itself. And let's say we put this on 8, and I need to reset and do that again. Oh, let me put it on 8. As you can see, now it's very big. So if you want to create some very weird inversions, but as you can see, the track does just shape itself very weird. And if you then continue from a piece like this, the transition often there is a little bit weird. So in this video, we will be using a pivot offset of 2. Now throughout this video I will be telling you how block break works and other things, but first let's just make a layout. So come build with me. We can see if you can build a coaster with me. First of all, let me also show you how auto smooth off works, which is the perfect thing for here. So basically what that means is that it doesn't rotate on an axis. As you can see, it just stays on the same line. So that we can use perfectly to add a little dip out of the station right here. And for fun, I'm just going to change the track type at the start. Here we go. Then we are going to go to track feature and press booster, since I think we're going to make this a little lounge roller coaster. So now, of course, you can make this a lot longer. I'm just going to keep this sort of the same size, and I'm going to add 3 boosters. And after this, we're probably just going to go back to what track type? So we just do this track type since it's new. I think that's fine. And then we're of course going to disable the booster and put that back on normal. In case pivot offset was turned off, make sure to put it back on 2 and put auto smooth back on the yaw and pitch. And now when we're going to create like a turn, you can see it already starts to rotate a little bit. Now I've shown you how pivot offset works. I'm going to quickly show you how you do it without pivot offset in case you want to do that. So let's say I go up and I want to create a turn. Now as you can see, this is weird, since what most people do is they do a turn and then they go to the left. And then, well, that just looks bad. It doesn't look good. So what we're going to be doing is still create this turn, go a little bit to the left, and we are going to turn auto smooth off. And what you're going to do is just slightly go to the right. And as you can see, then you basically add that pivot offset yourself, and you have just a little bit more control over what you're doing. Believe me guys, you're not going to make every coaster perfect. And even I cannot make every roller coaster perfect. Some are just rough, some are not good. And just keep in mind, you can always go back on your roller coaster, change stuff, make things better. And not every coaster is going to be perfect on the first try, not even mine. But yeah, let's just build this with pivot offset, just so you guys can easily follow what I'm doing. So right here, we're just going to create a turn to the left and just make that like banked quite a lot, since I think that's going to be fun. I'm going to do, let's just put in the roll 90 degrees. There we go. And then we're going to go down and we're going to create a little bit of a fun element. We're going to go the other way. And this is just like an element that exists. It's a wave turn. And then we're going to go to the left. So this is sort of like a little pre-section before we're actually going to go to the bigger lounge. So we're just going to create this turn, and just to show you also, I'm going to press the big reset button, and well, now I can just sort of keep having the sort of same angle throughout this turn, as you can see. And well, now we actually can probably go under this, and now I want to create a turn to the right. So, well, we can do this and then go bigger. And as you can see, that looks decent. But often with this, I still go to auto smooth off and just make it a little bit more until it looks good. And you will of course do the same if you're actually not using any pivot offset. And now we just continue this turn, which I can again use this button for, just change it slightly. What we're going to do is, well, press the other button to reset it and also reset the roll. There we go. And you should now be somewhat going straight. And we are going to go to booster. We're just going to add another lounge. I'm not really sure why. And we're just going to go up like here. We're going to stop for now, since what we're going to have to do is test. Now, if you do not have any game passes or operations or stuff, you might not be able to change some of the boosters or like the stuff in here, which I will also maybe explain a little bit. But I think you should be able to build this without any game passes. So let's just first test it. Well, we need to make sure the train is longer than that. I'm just going to put it on 3 and let's see how it's going to go. And there's a high chance this is going to go too quick or too slow. Well, this is definitely going to go too quick. So the options you basically have is, if you have any game passes, you can, well, lower the launch speed with which is here, the boost power. I'm just going to put that on 70. If you do not have any operations, I would suggest just removing one of these launch pieces or at the end and just replacing them to normal, and then seeing if it has too much speed or not enough. If it has not enough, you add just a little bit back and then more normal track, or the other way around. If we are now going to test the roller coaster, now that the launch speed is on 70%, as you can see, it is going to go a lot better through this, and actually it is pretty smooth, as you can see. And then we're going to go in this lounge and we're going to go all the way up. And right here, I am going to make our first inversion. And now I could make this video like an hour long and showcasing how you make every single inversion, but sadly I don't got time for that, and I'm sure there are already a lot of videos on YouTube on how to make certain inversions. So I'm just going to show you how you just make a very simple inversion. But before we can do that, we do need to go up a little bit since we have a lot of speed. And again here, I'm just going to use this. So we go up straight, since that seems fun, and we're going to go all the way like this, and we're just going to create a top hat. You see these a lot like on Velocicoaster or other coasters, and we're just also going to go down right here, do the same again. We're just going to go in a little bit, and we are going to go up like this and make sure it goes flat. There we go. Now we just got a very simple top hat. It's maybe not 100% equal on both sides, but as long as it looks good for this video, it's good. You can of course completely change this however you want. So right here, we need to create a turn to the left. So we're going to do that. And here I would suggest just indeed rotating a little bit and still using that auto smooth just to increase it a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's just a little bit. Don't do that. Not needed. It's just a little bit to sort of create like the hard line on your body or like the middle of the train. Then we are going to go all the way up in like a very nice turn. And I think for the inversion, we're just going to do some sort of roll, since that's going to be the easiest to show. So basically what we are going to do is go up and we're going to rotate. Now I would suggest when you're rotating this to put it around 210% like that. Now it is definitely not going to be perfect, this inversion. I also struggle with sometimes these inversions. But basically what I'm going to do is add a minus in front of this. And then, well, we basically got this inversion equal. And I have to say, this inversion doesn't look the best at the moment. But if you just keep rotating like this and, well, keep going down and do something like this. It's a weird inversion, but not every inversion has to be something very nice. But to be fair, as you can see, if we look from here, it does look very nice and round, which is sort of what you want to create. So from here, we're just going to go up. And we are going to go down again. We're going to create an airtime hill. And from this airtime hill, we are going to create a turn to the right. And just, of course, add like that auto smooth on off. And just make that a little nicer. And what we are going to do is create a block break. So we're going to go up quite a lot. And then reset this. And put this on 0. And of course, as you can see, this is now very flat. So also when you're doing this at the end, make sure to add a little bit of that. Just so it's not flat. Basically, you have to do it on the inside and the outside of the turn. We're just going to add some block breaks. Make sure the block break is the length of your train. So if you have a very long train, it needs to be the length of your train. If you have a very short train, it needs to be the length of your short train. So I have to sort of guess how long it is, but at this point I sort of just know the feeling. So there we go. Now what this basically does is split up the first section of the roller coaster into a block break part. So once the coaster goes over this part, the second train, if we have a second train, is allowed to leave the station. For this to work, you need at least have one more block break than you have the amount of trains. So the station is a block break and this is a block break. So now we have 2 block breaks. That means we can have 1 train. If we have 3 block breaks, so let's say on the final break when we had another one, a third one, that means we can have 2 trains. Now with the timing of the block breaks, you just have to really just sort of feel the roller coaster and see how that works. It's very difficult to time them correctly. Even I struggle with that quite often to make something good. Now I am now just quickly going to finish off this roller coaster. From this point on, I would just suggest try something else. I am not entirely sure, since I'm now just going to go back to the station to show you how the block breaks work, but you can do whatever you want after this, or maybe add another lounge, or also just go to the station. Keep in mind, this is mainly just a showcase roller coaster. This layout is not good. It's mainly just showing off how you do certain things. Now let's reset this. Let's go over here, since we have to go, of course, over the break bin, which is, well, going to be somewhat here. And another tip I have is once you do breaks or a break run, never go higher than that. Since in case the roller coaster does have to stop here, it will otherwise not make the end of the layout. So I need to create a little bit of a hill here, otherwise we don't have any room here. And I'm just going to add a final turn here. Now, another tip I'm going to give you guys is that it's often easier to build the break run already from the end. So what I'm going to do is just go slightly up like this. And we're indeed going to add a long block break run. There we go. And after that, I'm going to add some breaks, which, well, also break the roller coaster. Now what we have to do is now connect up these 2 pieces, which shouldn't be too difficult. It's basically just going to be quite a sharp turn, but of course at this point we don't have so much speed left, so we can actually use, of course, where it just continues this, make that a little smaller. And well, you can't connect it with auto. As you can see, it's a bit much, so you can go back, make that maybe a little sharper, connect it, then still a little bit too much. We rotate that last, make that a little bigger. It's just a lot of trial and error, and as you can see, now it looks decent enough. And as you can see, now that because we have, well, 1, 2, 3 block breaks, we have 2 trains, and in the settings, of course, you can add more or less trains in case you don't want multiple trains. Now, again, the block breaks are a little bit difficult if you're having no game passes, since in the operations, I'm basically going to turn them off. So if you go to the block breaks, I'm probably going to place them on like 10%, almost doing nothing. Of course, when you don't have any operations, this will just break the coaster almost to a complete stop. So I would suggest not doing that stuff when you don't have to. Now, of course, you can change the roller coaster colors, and there's of course a lot more stuff in like the right operation mode. But this video is mainly about how you can make smooth roller coasters. But basically, you can change the chainless speed, the boost power, the brake power. Track friction and gravity multiplier is mainly if your coaster doesn't make it. So track friction means that there is less friction. So if you put that lower, the coaster will have more speed at the end. And the gravity multiplier is when it goes up. If you put that up, the train will feel like more heavy, so it will go up less. So normally when it doesn't make it, I put this on like 90% and this on 110% and then 80, 120, 70, 130 and just go so on. So I decreased track friction and increased gravity multiplier to somewhat make it still look, not zero, somewhat make it still look, well, realistic. But let's have a test ride on the roller coaster and see if it's somewhat good. It might have too much speed because of the second launch. I haven't tested it yet. That is probably something you want to do more than I just did in this video, is keep testing your roller coaster. So here we go on the second launch. I hope we're at least going to make that. And I think we are actually. That is a pretty nice speed actually. We're going to go all the way up here. Then we have this pretty nice version. It's not extremely smooth, but my tip for you is just practice. Practice, practice, practice is the most important thing for building smooth roller coasters. I just showed you sort of like the very basics of how to make a nice roller coaster. And well, as you can see, it is pretty decent. Some turns are a little bit weird. Probably should have increased the brakes themselves, since I turned, of course, off the block brakes. If I'm correct, you should now have your own roller coaster that somewhat looks like this in your park. Now, my suggestion is select a random roller coaster in the tent and try to do the things that you learned in this video. Try the mine train coaster. This doesn't have inversions, but a lot of helixes and turns. Try to build a single wheel coaster that will have a lot more inversions. Try to build a spinning coaster or a water coaster or maybe a dive coaster. So there's a lot of options you can do after this, and if you practice, you will get better with these tips I gave you in this video. So if you enjoyed this video and you thought it was useful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe on my channel. And if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments and I will hopefully be able to help you. So guys, I will say, as always, goodbye.